later this evening. So we are looking at partly cloudy, quite breezy today, the high 95 and that heat index up to about 102. Some strong storms moving in this evening and into the late night hours with a cool front that is going to cool it down. But there's the possibility of some damaging winds, large hail, and possibly even tornadoes this evening and overnight. Highs in the mid-80s tomorrow with sunny skies and lower humidity. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm KMOV meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Hello and welcome to Colombo and Company on a very hot Thursday afternoon. Please be aware of the heat out there today and stay safe. Actually have a little update. We just heard the top of the hour forecast there from the Channel 4 weather team. I actually have a little update from them as well that I'm going to get you up to speed on here in a second. This is Tony Colombo. This is Colombo and Company on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm here in studio with producer Ashlyn, and we have got a lot of great guests today, a lot of great company coming over, a lot of stories to catch you up on as we go through the afternoon. Let's start with this First Alert Weather Day. Just to follow up there on Kent's latest forecast. This is directly from the weather team at Channel 4. Dangerous heat this afternoon as heat index values climb up to 104 degrees. That's the heat index. Actual high is going to be 95. I think it's close to that right now, 93-ish right now. So be aware of that. I mean, the humidity has just been crazy. It's one of those days, yesterday was, and today I'm sure is as well, where, the air conditioner at home just can't even keep up. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the air conditioner. That just means it's just that hot outside. And then after this heat tonight, this is directly from Channel 4's weather team. Our attention turns to strong to severe storms this evening, starting at around 6 p.m. into western portions of the region. Strong to severe storms look to move east, approaching the St. Louis metro area closer to 8 to 10 p.m. Severe risk for storms continue through the rest of the region, lasting until midnight. Strong winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes remain possible as primary threats. So just be aware for the rest of the day today and into the evening that it's hot. Be careful with the heat this afternoon. And then, be aware of some possible severe weather this evening and tonight, and I can't recommend that Channel 4 weather app enough when it comes to that severe weather stuff. If you want to get a check on what's happening, if there is something serious going down, they'll be live right there on the app, Steve and his team, and they always have that thing completely up to the second updated on what's going on. So just a little bit of a word of warning. We'll talk to Steve Templeton, Chief Meteorologist over at Channel 4 tomorrow afternoon to get that weekend forecast. It does cool down tomorrow, but I think there's also could be some rain this weekend. We'll wait. Don't take my word for it. We'll talk to Steve tomorrow afternoon and get all of the details on that. A lot going on with the negotiations in Iran today. The day started, this morning started with an announcement from Donald Trump that there would be a military strike today. However, he has updated us in the last hour or so and said that attack is not going to happen tonight due to advanced negotiations. So some breaking news there. We'll fill you in on that in a few moments. Also, Trump lashing out at the media again. I've been watching this, but I don't know. I can't remember if we've talked about it on the air recently. Trump has been really critical of the media's coverage of the situation in Iran and with the Strait of Hormuz and other things. And he lashed out again today at the media. So I want to get you up to speed on that. He also offered some details on an attempt by the United States to arm the Iranian people, but that project, that attempt did not happen. And the president shared some details on that this afternoon as well. So there's a whole lot to catch you up on there. We also have just a funny story that I'm going to get to here in a little while. Susie Moore and I, on Tuesday, we were talking about various issues, and she mentioned the reflecting pool project. We were talking about various examples and various issues of basically TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, and how we were specifically talking about the lawsuit against the president regarding his ballroom. He also has his own lawsuit against CNN for defamation. So, Susie's our legal expert. We were touching on some of these stories on Tuesday afternoon when she was with us. And she mentioned the reflecting pool as being another, point of drama when it comes to the president's detractors. And they're, going after him about every possible thing. There's a story out in the Washington Post did this week regarding the reflecting pool. And it's just a perfect example of TDS. So I want to get to that as we go through the afternoon. New polls say that the Democrats have momentum in taking back the United States Senate heading into the midterms. A leading nonpartisan political handicapping group just switched 3 of their Senate races that they are watching. They just switched 3 of them towards a Democrat advantage over the former Republican advantage. So according to this group and some polls out there, the Democrats are gaining steam and picking up momentum, specifically when it comes to the Senate as we get closer to the midterm elections. I want to explain some of that and see if we agree, because I'm not sure that I do. I'm not saying the Republicans are doing a bang-up job either, because there's a lot to criticize there. However, as I've said many times, when you look at this Democratic Party and you look at these people, now we have Graham Plattner, add him to the list, along with Zoran Mondani and AOC and Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker, which hits really close to home, and Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar. I mean, this is the team that's winning. This is the team. Yikes! I just don't know that I agree with that. So we'll fill you in on those details. We'll have that conversation. We'll see if we agree with these polls and with this group that just released this report. Speaking of Graham Plattner, we have a lot of people from both parties weighing in on this main Senate race with Graham Plattner, including the president. And it's really funny because we see a lot of support coming from Republican leaders for Susan Collins, who has not always gotten along with the party leadership, has often been a thorn in the side, had her Republican credentials questioned many times. But of course, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing, lesser of two evils kind of thing. So we have, including the president, we have several big names, leaders in the Republican Party that are endorsing Susan Collins, but you can hear the reluctance in their voices and in their words. But I'm not saying that they're not honest or truthful about it, because I think they truly believe, as I think any sane person would, that Susan Collins is still better than this Graham Plattner joke. So I want to get you filled in on that story as well as we go through the afternoon. And we got a packed show as far as guests are concerned as well. In the 3 o'clock hour, we're going to be joined in studio by my co-hosts from the Bluff City Outdoor Show. Bluff City Outdoor Show is every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. here on News Talk STL. Local professional fisherman Mike Marfell and my co-host from the Bluff City Outdoor Show, the owner of Bluff City Outdoors, Mark McMurray, will be in studio with us. Also, right at 3 o'clock, we're going to talk to Dr. Randy Tobler. Speaking of Saturday mornings, the Randy Tobler Show is every Saturday, 6 to 9 a.m. here on News Talk STL. Coming up in about a half an hour from now, we are going to talk to Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire. Always look forward to that conversation. I'm sure she will have some good insight and be a perfect person to talk about the situation in Iran, also the Graham Plattner stuff with. So looking forward to getting Virginia on the line here in a little bit. And in just about 5 minutes or so, we are going to be joined live in studio by longtime St. Louis radio personality. I'm going to call him a radio legend, the great Brendan Shanahan. Not the hockey player, the radio guy, Brendan Shanahan. Brendan, a longtime on-air personality at various music radio stations, and we've worked together at talk stations and music stations over the years. I'm sure you're very familiar with his voice, maybe even if you don't even realize it, because Shanny has been a part of so many ads and voice work and things like that with various brands and companies in the St. Louis area and really all around the country over his career. And we were talking recently, and you know, we talk a lot about AI on this show. AI has been a major topic as we talk every week, every Tuesday afternoon. Of course, we talk to Mike McCleary, our AI expert from Intervine, here on the show. And I thought Shanny would be a perfect guy to talk to about AI influence in media, in advertising, especially from the standpoint of somebody who is incredibly talented when it comes to voice work, that can, you know, change his voice and do various types, of voices. You would never even recognize that was him. And, you know, how AI can do a lot of these things at the push of a button now, but does it do it well? And I just think it's a perfect part of the conversation of, you know, AI being something that is being used by lazy people to do a lazy job, possibly eliminate jobs, take people's jobs, or, you know, AI being used by talented people as a tool to enhance their talents and make things better. Some of the things that we really, you know, have dug into with Mike McCleary in recent weeks. And I just thought Shanny would be a perfect person to kind of extend that conversation with. And I wouldn't be surprised if Shanny has some thoughts on some of these other issues as well. So very, very much looking forward to catching up with Brendan Shanahan here in just a few moments. Before that, I do want to give you a quick update on Iran. Like I said, we'll dig into the details of this more as we go through the afternoon, but to just give you the latest here, this morning, Donald Trump said that there would be an attack in Iran tonight. He said that the U.S. will be continuing strikes against Iran today as peace talks had appeared, again, this is this morning, to have come to a standstill. The president put out a statement this morning that said, quote, the United States will be hitting Iran, open parentheses, whose Navy, Air Force, radar, anti-aircraft, and all other forms of defense together with most of its offensive capability are gone, exclamation point, close parentheses, very hard tonight. All caps on very hard tonight. So the United States will be hitting Iran very hard tonight was the statement put out by Donald Trump this morning. But then just about an hour ago, there was an update from the president who said that he has canceled the scheduled strikes against Iran, saying that there has been major progress in the talks with the Iranian leadership. Trump said he has canceled plans to carry out further attacks against Iran today, claiming to have made progress in talks with leaders in Tehran. His most recent statement said, quote, based on the fact that discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved, I have, as President of the United States of America, canceled the scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran this evening. Discussions and final points have been, in both concept and great detail, approved by all parties involved, including the United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, and others. The naval blockade will remain in full force and effect until this transaction is finalized. Time and place of the signing will be announced shortly. Trump put this all out on Truth Social again, just a little more than an hour ago. So that's a major, major announcement that for the first time, there's more specifics there, more details than we have ever had in the past. In the past, it's been just, hey, there's been a, we've had a breakthrough, or there's been an advancement in talks, but that's it. This, he specifically says that the agreement has been made in detail, down to the specifics, and then I'll list all the countries that are also signed off and agreed on all of these things. So if true, and I have no reason to believe it's not, we'll see what happens here over the next few hours. But this is an awful big statement for the President of the United States. If it ends up not happening, then the boy who cried, we're going to have a major boy who cried wolf situation going forward. And I don't know how we can really believe if there is a agreement going forward. But this is one of the biggest steps forward, biggest statements he has made. After a very harsh statement this morning saying that a major military strike was going to happen today, and then taking it back and listing all these countries, including Israel, which is a big deal there, that is in on this agreement. And he said that it will be announced shortly. That sounds like in the next 24 hours to me. Maybe even this afternoon as we're on the air. So some major advancements there in Iran, and we'll continue to unpack that situation as we go through the afternoon. All right, as I mentioned, our old friend Brendan Shanahan, radio legend, not hockey player, is going to be joining us live in studio next here on Colombo Company.
It's getting near dawn.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Soon be with you, my love. Give you my dawn surprise. I'll be with you, darling, soon. I'll be with you when the stars start falling.
The News and Talk
I'm optimistic that during the summer we will see gas with a 3 in front of it sooner rather than later.
that matters to St. Louis.
The energy prices, while painful, are not going to be around forever.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. As I mentioned, joining us live in studio now, the radio legend, St. Louis radio icon, not the hockey player, the radio guy, Brendan Shanahan, currently doing mornings at the Viper 100.7. He's been, we started in the mid-90s together at the Point, buddy.
Yeah.
I know, right? Great to see you, my friend. How are you?
Thank you, Tony. You and I were always considered, we always would call ourselves the cockroaches.
Yeah.
Because we'd make
Find a way.
It would every October and every March, you and I'd like see each other at the end of the day, like made it another one.
Yeah.
Because every October, every March, you knew that there was
Budget
a cleaning
cuts,
the house.
Cleaning house, yep.
Yeah, we'd hide.
My idea was always to just keep my head down.
Me too.
Try to make yourself as valuable as possible.
I stayed away from the reindeer games and did my own thing.
Exactly.
Didn't always work out in my favor.
No, got me a couple times too, but we made it.
You know, it never really got me bad. It just didn't help me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Staying out of the way and doing my own thing. I don't want to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
So it's great to see you, buddy. And, you know, not only will you recognize Shanny from, you know, being on the radio at various stations over the years here in St. Louis, but as I said earlier, you probably have heard his voice and don't even know it.
Yeah.
And so many different ad campaigns over the years. Your voiceover work has been just amazing.
Well, yeah, I thank you. I there's times where you do get down because you know, doing voiceover work is just like acting or anything else. You do all these auditions and you're like, oh, I nailed that, and then you just don't get a call back.
Yeah.
And then you'll hear the one that they picked and like, well, that's not what they were asking for at all.
Right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
Yeah.
But I was talking to like one of the voiceover like we have a kind of a group of people we work together and things like that. We help each other out. You know, like, hey, I've got a project I'm working on. You want to work on it with me? Things like that. So you get into these little groups, but it's out of Clayton Studios and everything. And I was talking to, you know, one of my VO partners, and she said, well, you just need to shut up. Look at all the big names that you've done. I'm like, well, because they don't happen all the time.
Right.
It's so spread out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And she's like, well, name some of the ones you've done. And I'm like, I don't know. All right. Any soda? Yeah, I've done Coke. I've done Pepsi. And then you start thinking, it's like, well, I guess I have done a lot of things. I've done a lot of good, you know, like a couple years ago, I did NHL spot that ran forever, and I could always tell when it was playing because my phone would just start buzzing and be like, Shanny's talking about rent-a-cars. You know,
I heard you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I've known you for so long that I consider myself an expert at picking out your voice, but that's one of the talents that you have, and the people that are at the top of what you do in voice work have, is that you're so good at impressions, at accents, at different voice tones. You can be an old man, you can be a young kid, you can be, you know what I mean? You can.
I was thinking about this on the way in. This is my favorite. It was back when we were at Union Station, and I had Pro Tools, and I had to do a short 10-second or 5-second spot for one of those adult stores. And it was Pure Pleasure Adult Mega Center. I still remember it. And I needed a female, and there was no females in the building.
Well.
And you know how it was. I mean, you were there at night when it was just us.
Yeah.
And so
There's hardly any people, let alone.
I went through and I through the magic of Pro Tools and a little bit of, and I did it as like in English. I was like, Pure Pleasure Adult Mega Center. Look for the purple awning. And I did it and I pitched it up. It ran for 3 years as a female. As a female.
And there were people that would listen. Man, that chick sounds hot.
Oh, man. It was ridiculous.
So one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on is because, you and I were talking recently off the air about various projects and stuff, and it just really occurred to me, AI is a big topic. It's like a hot button issue for me.
It's scary.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's going to influence every aspect of our lives, and I think a lot of people still think it's a fad and it's going to go away, or maybe it'll be around a little bit, but it's not it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and it's only growing. And we have a dedicated segment every Tuesday. My AI expert is a guy named Mike McCleary, who's a local business owner, but also somebody who has done a lot of advertising campaigns and is very good at creating digital ad campaigns, and he's embraced AI and using it as a tool. But he also is somebody, because of his great understanding, he can help us clear up the rumors, the truth, the warnings, the positives, the negatives, all of these kind of things. And when you and I were talking the other day, I thought, man, what Channy's going through, like somebody who has, like you have, honed your talents over years to be able to do so many different voices, and provide, whatever a client needs for anything. And now to have this technology come along where somebody can do it with the push of a button.
Yeah.
But my thing is, and I want to get your thoughts on this, I believe, as somebody who's on the internet a lot and have seen a lot of internet AI slop, there's a big difference between laziness of I don't need to hire somebody. I don't need to pay somebody to do this. I can just get on ChatGPT and make something myself, and it looks bad, it sounds bad, as opposed to somebody that is good at this and knows what a good commercial sounds like, what a good ad looks like, that kind of stuff, and using the technology more as a tool. Talented people using it as a tool to make things better rather than lazy people using it to make garbage.
Right. Well, it equates to the same thing as like when podcasting first came out. Anybody can podcast. Oh, I can just make a podcast. All I gotta do is put my phone down in my kitchen.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about knitting. It's Nancy's knitting. We're going to talk about the knitting. Hey, you sure
Mom
you
always
can
told
do
me
that?
I should host a talk show, so I can do it now. All I got to do
Look
is
at that.
push
Then I
record.
just hit the button and it does all the stuff for
Yeah.
me. No,
The money will start pouring in any minute.
You can do it, but it doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like what you were just saying, one of the things that I've done over the years is voiceovers that you'll never hear. They're called scratch. So they're like if an animated movie or any sort of animated or any feature or anything like that, before AI, you would have to have somebody read the script and perform it and record it so they could set all the barriers and everything, and then they would then you implement the real actors that you want and everything like that. Like I've done 6 full-length like animated features that I've done the scratch voice for, where like me and my voiceover partner, where like she'll do all the female parts, I'll do all the male parts, whether it's a kid, an adult, whatever. But that
way the producers have something that they can listen to and show the actors, and this is what we want.
And there's been times where I've done like, because I don't know what these characters are going to be. It just happens to be something that my interpretation of it, and then I'll hear that the hired actor, and it's like, man, they're just doing me.
They're mimicking what I did.
They're just doing me.
Well, the important thing there is the human aspect, because you can provide the emotion.
Yeah,
you can provide. You can read a script, kind of get to know a character, and you can like add the right inflection on your voice, and the right emotion in there, whereas maybe AI couldn't. How worried are you, and how much have you already seen AI start to infiltrate?
I can tell you right now that there's companies that I get emails and things from companies every day about cloning my voice. It'll take, they're like, we can have it done in a week, and we'll pay you as much as $62,000.
Wow.
But that's what you just get that, and it's
then,
good. And it's
then
good
they
for
have your voice forever.
It's good for a certain amount of time. Supposedly, they say you'll get refreshed after every certain amount of time.
Huh.
I've never made $62,000 a year in just voice work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I've made enough to buy a '97 Volkswagen Scirocco. You know what I mean? A used one, but not anything big. But so it kind of scares me to the point of like, man, do I want to do that?
Right.
I don't.
I like that better than just stealing it. I like that better than just like thinking we can just do it ourselves. And we'll
like we were talking before this. I said our friend Jason Church. I swear that there's something. I even text him. I sent him a copy of what it was. I'm like, dude, is this you? Because it sounds exactly like you. He said, no, unfortunately, it's not.
Wow.
Like it sounds just
Jason Church,
like
one of the best news voices. If you remember back in the day at the old place, he was the news director. He's still around at the SIUE radio station. One of the best radio voices.
Love
classic, deep radio voices. But yeah, I mean, I would love to have Jason's voice. So I would imagine there are people that are like trying to clone that kind of thing.
And it was for something like about the pyramids, and everybody is doing
like a
those
historical documentary kind of thing.
Yeah, but everybody's doing that clip stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It might be like, did you know that the pharaoh Foragami once did this, blah 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 blah. Well, that's not any. That person is some like kid going, I'm going to make this video somewhere and I'll edit it up. It's more like that. That's who's doing it. He has nothing to do with anything. As he's just trying to get views.
Yeah, or no knowledge of it either.
Right.
He's just either reading something off of Wikipedia. Or just regurgitating something that he saw somewhere else and then adding some deep voice to it that very rarely has the right inflection. Like you can hear like the period in the wrong place.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
the inflections are a little off sometimes. You'll notice it in writing too. You can tell when something is written. There's a certain prose that. It's like, oh, all right. You can tell.
Well, you'll find this interesting. One of the things that our AI expert, Mike McCleary, was telling us on this past Tuesday was because right now the biggest problem with AI development is there's not enough power. Like the software, the systems are capable of more than we have seen to this point. But it takes so much compute, takes so much power to do it that it sort of limits them. And that's why, I always tell people, like, if you're going to ask your Gemini on your Google phone or
your Claude.
Whatever, if you're going to ask it for, like, an answer to some question, especially if it's like a news question or a updated sports question, to always say to check the latest information to do this, because in an attempt to be fast, to give you a fast answer, it will often just sort of like whatever the last time it did a backup was, could be 3 months ago, could be 6 months ago. That's the fast answer it'll give you. So like I remember when the new season of The Boys came out, I had a question about The Boys, and it was like, oh, well, this should. That is supposed to happen, and then in the final season, which had already started. And I'm like, nope, the final season already started. So, check the most recent and it's all because of this power issue. So, he was telling us.
So that's where the data centers are all coming.
Yeah, exactly. So he was telling us that because of trying to like cut corners and be faster and not use as much power, that a lot of these AI companies are training its systems. If a word or a term is rarely used, like it scans the English language and it's like nobody uses this word or this term anymore, it just cuts it out of its vocabulary, which means that like the time that like I need that answer, maybe even if it is rare, it's not going to give it to me because they're making concessions to try to speed things up. So it can't be. There's just one example of how it can't be at the level of a human when it comes to
No.
You know, it's emotions.
Here's
it's
some things
terms.
that are scary about that, though, too, Tony. So you're telling me that these AIs and these chat GPTs, the Claudes and the Geminis can be incorrect, right?
Oh, yeah.
Doctors are using them.
I know.
Doctors.
I know.
Doctors are using this
Lawyers.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those fake bots won a traffic case.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So what do you see? So we're almost out of time. Talking to Brendan Shanahan here. I'd love to get you back on, buddy, and continue this conversation soon. But as it stands right now, are you more worried about us being on a path of replacement of, voiceover work, ad creation, this kind of thing? Or are people realizing that they need to have the talented people that can use this AI stuff as tools to make things better? Do you have a feeling on which direction we're heading right now, or maybe a worry about which direction we're heading right now? Are we still at that fork in the road? Maybe
as it gets better, it may be worse for us.
Yeah.
As far as what we do, because why?
What happened there? Oh, your mic is glitched. See, there you go. The AI knows it. AI realizes you're coming for.
How about this, Mike?
Yeah, you sound fine there. Right. AI realizes the computers know you're coming for their.
I was like, I told
that's crazy.
Too much. I said too much. I'm sorry, Tony.
Well, listen, buddy, it is great to see you, Brendan Shanahan. Like I said, this is a major issue for me, and I think it's so important that people understand what AI is capable of, the path that we're on with it. How to use it as a tool, and what to stay away from, and how to recognize when something's garbage. So I'd like to have you back on to continue.
Absolutely,
all of this
yeah. My afternoons are usually free if I'm not.
If you're not napping.
Well, I do 7 to 10, so I've got it worked out pretty well.
That's a lot better.
I've got it in. We're mom and pop just like you guys are.
Uh-huh.
So if I'm not doing that, sometimes I host the game shows over at Game Show Battle Rooms in Chesterfield.
Cool.
So come visit me there.
Absolutely, and tune in every morning on the Viper 100.7 to hear Shanny there each and every weekday morning. Great to see you, my friend. Talk to you again very, very soon. All right, we're going to dive back into some of the news stories of the day, including, I mentioned earlier, a lot of Republican leaders, including the president, endorsing Susan Collins somewhat reluctantly in some cases. Lesser of two evils with Graham Plattner. Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire has an article about that up right now at thedailywire.com. I want to talk to Virginia about that and more next.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Producer Joey V here. Iran shot down an American helicopter. We'll ask Mike Brest, defense reporter at the Washington Examiner, how Trump plans to retaliate at 420.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on Newstalk STL.
Craving the freshest in town? Anthony's Produce is your daily destination for nature's finest. Browse our rainbow of quality fruits and vegetables. Always fresh, always delicious. Hosting an event? Let us create stunning fruit bouquets and vegetable trays. And we proudly stock hundreds of locally made products. And yes, we've even got seasoned firewood for those cozy evenings. Available for pickup or delivery. Anthony's Produce. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 701 Jungerman Road or anthonysproduce.com.
This is Kurt Barr, St. Charles County Director of Elections, inviting you to our Sundays on Sunday family-friendly open house. Stop by for a behind-the-scene look at how your elections are run. Kids can vote at a mock polling place using a real ballot. You can meet candidates appearing on the August primary ballot, and everyone can enjoy free ice cream. The County Pet Adoption Center will also be on site with dogs looking for new homes. Join us Sunday, June 14th from 2 to 5 p.m. Details at sccmo.org/elections.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
If you have a tree that you think is dead, it might not be dead. Why don't you try to save it first with Roots Plus? Roots Plus can help you save your tree and keep your cash. RootsPlusLLC.com. That's RootsPlusLLC.com or 314-440-3662.
This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 119.94.1 News Talk STL. Great talking to St. Louis radio legend Brendan Shanahan in that last segment. Continuing the conversation now with our good friend Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire. And Virginia, I'm so glad you have this article up right now at thedailywire.com about Trump endorsing Susan Collins. I said earlier in the show that this is one of the stories I wanted to follow up on today. The president and some other Republican leaders in the last 24, 48 hours have come out to endorse Susan Collins, but you can kind of hear, and even if you're just reading this, feel some of the reluctance in their voice. But they have to. Lesser of two evils. Go ahead.
As Trump said, she's not his best friend.
Yeah, exactly. And and I love it. It's in your headline. Like the best he could do as far as a compliment was she's sane. She's not. Yeah, hey, she's not crazy. So she's got that going for her.
Yeah, she's a sane person. That was the endorsement. It was. So they're in the Oval Office, and I don't even remember what they were in there for, like what was the thing that they were doing. Yeah. But the question, I can't remember who asked the question either. It was something about, well, now that Graham Plattner has won this primary, does Susan Collins have your full support? And he's like, really, really playing up the question. Mm-hmm. Like, does she absolutely have all of your support now? Because, I mean, the guy has to know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He knew what he's doing. He knew what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Trump is like, he interrupts and he says, well, yeah, of course she does because she's sane. And then he starts talking about Graham Plattner, and he called him a pig, and then he apologized to pigs. And then, this was the wildest endorsement roller coaster I think I've ever seen. It was pretty great.
Yeah. He called Plattner a pig. He called him a thug. He called him a loser. I mean,
a phony.
Yeah.
I mean, all of it.
Which is all.
I'm not.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing. I
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that Plattner is a good guy. And what's funny is that, until the latest bit came out about his behavior with women he dated, my biggest issue with him was the way that he talked about Purple Heart recipients.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if he says crude things on Reddit, like whatever, my skin's pretty thick. Like there are a lot of things that a lot of politicians have said that are that bad or worse, and I just don't care if they're good people after that. I get it. Like sometimes you say something and then you wish that it wasn't public knowledge for everybody. Now, if you want your comments to not be public knowledge, you should probably not post them on Reddit, but
right.
I digress. So
no, yeah, I think you're exactly right. I saw clips of an interview earlier today. I didn't flag any of it. I don't have any of it with me, but I think it was on Fox News this morning. It was with a Purple Heart recipient about this exact
Well,
issue.
they actually talked to the guy. Fox, if it's what I'm thinking of, they talked to the guy that Plattner was talking about.
Oh yeah, that may have been. And it was just gross. It was
talked-
just disgusting, to the way that Plattner has talked about this guy and then by extension, Purple Heart recipient.
video.
Yeah.
They have video of this guy, body cam video of him basically putting himself in harm's way in order to draw fire away from his men, right?
Wow.
And Plattner is mocking him because tactically it was a stupid thing to do. He's not wrong. But he follows that with, he didn't deserve to live, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, okay, look. We've heard the interviews with this guy. We know why he did it. Tactically sound or not, this is an American service member who put himself at risk.
Yeah,
for
a
others.
brave man who risked his life to try to save others.
Exactly.
Well, you're a vet,
And-
Virginia. You're a vet. How does this guy Graham Plattner, in general, with those comments and just the way he's behaved, the things he said and done, does it embarrass you? Does it anger you in any way? To see this guy reach such a high public level of attention, possibly setting up to be a senator, and the way he has represented himself and his fellow veterans here, during this campaign?
Well, here's, it's hard for me to say
Yeah.
that. I mean, am I personally bothered by the things he said? Yes. I think that, like I said, I think that what he said about the Purple Heart recipient obviously was far more offensive than any of the other stuff that he said. So, but again, this is a guy who he's going to, I mean, Maine chose him, I guess. Yeah. But they also chose Janet Mills as governor, and then she put men in their women's sports, and she was the one who fought with Trump over that and was going to she was going to the mat with him on that one.
Yeah. So in that regard, I was talking about this yesterday. I want to get your thoughts on this. I was saying that, it's it's like the perfect storm. It's like the perfect setup for a guy like Plattner to get into the United States Senate. He's in a liberal state. He's got, the endorsement of a guy like Bernie Sanders, who I guess, carries a lot of weight with progressive liberal voters up in the Northeast. He's running against a sitting Republican senator that has, had a lot of problems within her own party, as we were discussing at the very beginning. His own Democratic competition sort of crumbled in front of him, giving him the easiest path possible to this Democratic nomination. It seems like anywhere else in America, a Graham Plattner would have no chance at something like this. But it's like the perfect storm in Maine for I think a terrible person and candidate. I agree with all of the names that Trump called him. It's like the perfect storm for this kind of guy to get in the United States Senate. Do you think ultimately, he has a legitimate chance of beating Susan Collins and winning that seat?
Well, okay, Susan Collins kind of has 9 lives.
Yeah, that's true.
And there have been Republicans who are mad about this, and they may be happy about it after this cycle. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But here's what you have to remember. Raphael Warnock got elected in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So if Raphael Warnock can get elected in Georgia,
yeah, Jasmine
Graham
Crockett
Plattner
got
can
elected in
get
Texas.
elected to me. What?
Jasmine Crockett got elected in Texas. You know, I mean.
Jasmine Crockett did not get elected in a statewide election.
No, you're right. But I mean, still.
And she couldn't even get She couldn't even get past the statewide primary.
She couldn't even get in. Right. But she still found, but she's still, it's still pretty amazing that,
she's just practicing for MSNBC now. I don't know if you've heard her about this murder case.
No, I have. But
the black boy just wanted to come in out of the rain. Like, are you freaking kidding me now?
Yeah, and saying and reporting that there were 12 white men on the jury when that's not even close to the truth. There was 8 women on the jury, and I had it yesterday. I think it was three racial minorities, and 8 of the 12 were women. And of the 18, if you include the alternates and everything, there was, even more women and even more minorities that were in that jury pool. So the things that she's been saying is an absolute lie. But Virginia, we only have a couple minutes left here, just to kind of expand the conversation about the Senate with Graham Plattner in mind. I saw a poll from, one of these. They claim to be a nonpartisan political handicap group out of the University of Virginia, saying that they flipped some seats, like the momentum behind a few Senate seats from Republican to Democrat, and said that the Democrats, right as it stands right now, have the momentum when it comes to taking back the Senate in the midterm elections. Do you feel that way right now as it stands on June 11th? Do you feel like the Democrats or the Republicans have the wind at their back heading into the midterms?
Oh my goodness, that is the impossible question.
Yeah.
I think that in any midterm election, you should always assume that the party in power is facing headwinds.
Mm-hmm.
Always. So we should assume that Republicans have their work cut out for them. Now, then the question is, what will the Democrats do to make that worse? Like, will the Democrats take actions that will change that at all? And then will the Republicans take actions that will change that at all? Because either is possible, and it's not unheard of, as you well know, for Republicans to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
No.
And so we'll have to wait and see. But I think when it comes to Susan Collins, at least, we know what we're getting with her. There are a lot of Republicans who don't like her. But the reality is she is a Maine Republican, just like Joe Manchin was a West Virginia Democrat. And she's kind of her own animal, if that makes any sense. Like, there aren't very many.
Yeah. Well, like you said, 9 lives.
Her.
Yeah, like you said, she's
and,
had a way to.
While she does have her beefs with President Trump on certain issues, remember, she was one of the deciding votes that gave us Brett Kavanaugh.
Right. Yep.
And she has stepped up when it's been like on certain issues. She's been a valuable voice for Republicans in the Senate.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't discount her, and I wouldn't write her off as a loss, even if, especially because when you compare her to Graham Plattner, I think that Susan Collins is a much safer bet.
Yeah, I hope you're right about that. Great stuff, Virginia. Really appreciate it. Check out Virginia's article about this and more there at the Daily Wire every day, dailywire.com. Virginia Kruta, really appreciate your time. We'll talk to you again very soon, my friend. Awesome stuff there. All right, want to continue the conversation about Graham Plattner. Also, get you more details on the president's announcement about a major step forward in negotiations with Iran, enough to call off the military strike that was planned for this evening. So we're going to talk about those issues and more as we continue with Dr. Randy Tobler. He joins us next.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for Window World. Did you know that Window World offers a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor? They are one of the only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Window World St. Louis has been owned and operated by a group of born and raised St. Louis residents for more than 23 years, and now Window World is offering 36 months same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today, 800-GET-WINDOWS for a free in-home, no-pressure estimate. That's Window World at 800-GET-WINDOWS.
License number GL2500615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew at Washington. There's a guilty plea in a deadly shooting in Minnesota.
Vance Belter was charged with murdering Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark and shooting State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. Belter came to the homes disguised as a police officer and driving a fake squad car. U.S. Attorney Daniel Rosen says the guilty plea was in exchange for dropping the death penalty.
To ensure that he never sees freedom again in his entire life. That was an opportunity that we just could not pass up.
Friends describe Belter as an evangelical Christian and occasional preacher who had struggled to find work. I'm Ed Donahue.
A warning for Iran coming from President Trump. In a post on True Social, he writes that at some point in the not-too-distant future, we will be taking Karg Island and other oil infrastructure points and assume total control of their oil and gas markets, much like we have with Venezuela. The president said the small island off the coast of Iran is home to a major oil terminal considered to be the country's economic lifeline. Damaging storms sweeping through the Midwest, disrupting flights at Chicago airports and knocking out power to hundreds of thousands of customers.
We do have a slight risk in the excessive rainfall outlook. It's fairly broad, and it does encompass some pretty significant population centers, including areas like Des Moines, Iowa, the Quad Cities, Chicago, Milwaukee, Rockford in Illinois, and then Madison, Wisconsin, and then extending all the way up and even like Green Bay.
Forecaster Scott Kleebauer with the National Weather Service, it says that it received more than a dozen reports of tornadoes yesterday across northern Missouri, Iowa, Kansas, and Illinois. After years of preparation, a supersized World Cup has finally arrived. It's already the world's biggest sporting event, but this year's tournament takes it to new heights, hosted by 3 countries, the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. This year's tournament was expanded to 48 teams. More on these stories at townhall.com.
In the War of 1812, our nation fought and won America's religious freedom. Today, that constitutional right is being assaulted once more from within.
Religious liberty and rights in general were under attack. We all of a sudden became the enemy.
In the important new documentary by Dawn's Early Light, anti-Christian bias is exposed at the highest levels of government.
I got 6 months house arrest, 5 years probation.
I'm sorry, our rights have been suspended? Hard to believe that the instruments of government would ever be used to punish faith.
Follow the sweeping investigation of President Trump's task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. The governmental hostility and prejudice is uncovered, and Trump's fight to restore our constitutional liberties and religious freedom.
If we will not be governed by God, we must be governed by tyrants.
Don't miss this powerful new documentary by Dawn's Early Light, the story behind our national anthem. Share it with your church, family, and friends. For a limited time, watch it free at bydawnsearlylightfilm.com. bydawnsearlylightfilm.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Yes, it is another hot day, but it's going to be the last really hot day for a while. Unfortunately, the cooler air is going to come in here with some strong storms later this evening. So we are looking at partly cloudy, quite breezy today, the high 95 and that heat index up to about 102. Some strong storms moving in this evening and into the late night hours with a cool front that is going to cool it down. But there's the possibility of some damaging winds, large hail, and possibly even tornadoes this evening and overnight. Highs in the mid-80s tomorrow with sunny skies and lower humidity. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm KMOV meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com. News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station. This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Big 2 o'clock hour there with our friend Brendan Shanahan, the longtime radio personality, not the hockey player, talking about AI issues and other issues that impact advertising and media and marketing in this brave new world of AI. A great conversation with Shani in that 2 o'clock hour. Also, Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire was just with us. If you missed any of that, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. It's the best way to make sure you never miss anything that happens on the show, because we put the show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day, and we put it on basically every podcast platform. So wherever you get podcasts on that platform, subscribe to Colombo and Company. In a few moments, we're going to be joined in studio live by my co-hosts from the Bluff City Outdoors Show, which you can hear every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. here on News Talk STL. And speaking of Saturday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m. is the Randy Tobler Show, and Dr. Randy Tobler is on the line with us now. Doc, man, there's a lot to catch up on. Just today, we went from an announcement from the president saying that the negotiations had stalled in Iran and there was going to be a major military strike carried out against Iran tonight. And then just before the show, so just a couple hours ago from now, the president announced that there was a breakthrough and a major advancement, and he canceled those strikes. It's a lot to keep up with. What do you make of where we're at with this Iran situation as it stands right now?
Well, I'm just at this point. I think we've seen this before, Tony. Good to be with you. We've heard this. I'm going to pummel them. I've at the end of my rope. I'm done with them. It's time to pound them till mercilessly. Oh, but wait, we're going to give them a little extension. We've heard this before. Maybe there is sooner or later, something's got to give, right? This can't go on forever. So one of these times, the promises might be kept, the extension granted, and allowing them to play their game, to use a sports analogy, and kicking the can down the road ever closer to midterms. These endless, stops and starts and fits. And I don't know. Hopefully something good will happen. Maybe they've said that maybe they've decided over there who is in charge, who the voice is that can be relied on, that is representing their interests, some consensus interest. Maybe that's what the big breakthrough is, right? They're actually going to talk with one voice that we can count on to the extent you can count on any of that leadership's voice, and maybe something will get done. I don't know. I am increasingly already a native Missourian, have never lived outside the state. I'm increasingly a show me Missourian.
Yeah. Yeah, there's there's a lot of people make that use the state slogan to make a point about this is the show me state, you got to show me, but I think I think what you just said is a perfect use of that, because I spoke on this in the 2:00 hour, and so I couldn't agree with you more. I basically said the same thing that you just said, that we've had so many stops and starts that we've even been at this level before, where it was like tonight. It was there was a couple weeks, a couple months ago, there was a couple back-to-back weeks where it was going to be the Tuesday night of that week.
Yep.
Tuesday night at 8:00. That's when this is, all hell's going to break loose. And then just before then, there was an announcement of an advancement. Now, I'm with you, Doc. I don't know how he could do that again. I feel like this has to be different. Otherwise, it's going to be full-blown Boy Who Cried Wolf. And it's going to be impossible to take seriously, at least for me, moving forward when we hear something like this. Now, I will say that to give the president the benefit of the doubt for now, and we will know, because he said that this agreement was going to be signed and announced. All the details would be public, his word, shortly. That to me is within 24 hours. How would you interpret shortly, Doc?
You're right.
I say 24 hours, right? I mean, that means it's going to be very soon.
I don't know. Is it the Genesis interpretation, or is it the common interpretation of shortly and what a day means and everything? I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I think that in my thought process, it would be, well, heck, it's now, what is it? It's early morning over there now, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Late, or very early morning, late evening. And so I don't know, are they going to do something late at night, or will it be their morning, our overnight tonight, and then we wake up tomorrow and the skies have cleared and the clouds have lifted and the seas are rising and falling and everything's beautiful? I don't know.
Well, it's got to be by this time tomorrow, I think.
Tomorrow end of business, right?
Yeah, it's got to be by the end. If on Saturday morning, if you're not talking about the details of this agreement,
right,
or maybe somehow we're like in the middle of a military strike, one or the other, if we're still spinning our wheels when you're on the air on Saturday morning, I feel like that's the worst possible thing that this president could do. And like I said, to give him the benefit of the doubt, this statement, I read some of this earlier, but I'm gonna go over a little bit of it again for folks that are just tuning in or haven't heard this news yet. So again, earlier this morning, Donald Trump put out a statement saying that the conversations with Iran, negotiations had come to a standstill. And he put out a statement on Truth Social that said the United States will be hitting Iran, and then all caps, very hard tonight. He also put in there, in that same statement, he talked about the Iranian Navy and Air Force and anti-aircraft and all forms of defense that were all already wiped out, and that we were hitting them, all caps, very hard tonight. That was 5 or 6 hours ago. And then just a couple hours ago, he releases a statement. And this is where the benefit of the doubt for me right now, he's got about a day before that grace for me runs out. Not that he cares about what I think, but for whatever it's worth, that's how much patience I have, about a day. He put out a statement on Truth Social announcing that he had canceled the scheduled strikes against Iran tonight, and said, quote, based on the fact that discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved, I have, as President of the United States, canceled the scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran this evening. Discussions and final points have been, in both concept and great detail, approved by all parties involved. The in great detail, details in great detail have been approved by all parties involved. Doc is a big part of this for me. And then he said, including the parties, the United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, and others. So he's saying that the specifics, the details of this agreement and step forward are not like, hey, they said that they're considering what we just sent and we're going to wait and see what happens. He's saying that not only have Iran and the United States come to an agreement, but that all those countries, including Israel, are on board with this. If that is indeed the case, Doc, then I'm in total agreement with the president that this is a great step forward, and he's got this, he's got this agreement worked out and ready to sign. And okay, then that's a big deal to me and a major step forward, and I'm back on board. But if it's anything less than that, Doc, and it's certainly if it's more just like, oh, we still don't have the details hammered out, it's going to take a few more days. If it's anything less than, a specific details and agreement that we're going to get all the information on in the next 24 hours, I think it's a massive failure, a massive error for this administration. What do you think?
Well, I think that I remember when he said that complete surrender is what he would accept.
Mm-hmm.
I also remember that he's hinted at building something on the Abraham Accords, which is why I'm surprised that he would mention that other states have agreed. What are they agreeing to? I mean, they have no party in this. It's Israel and the United States against Iran, unless something's happening with Abraham, the Abraham agreements, which would be unbelievable. I mean, look, Saturday morning, I might be calling him either the greatest of all time goat or the goat eating the dandelions out on the acre patch on the lower 40.
Mm-hmm. What is your what's your gut tell you?
If he fails in this and ends up with, especially, look, I would consider failure details on obtaining the uranium to be obtained in the next 60 days, details of the Straits of Hormuz being open and whether or not there'll be a toll, a lot of nebulous, unanswered, to be, stay tuned, to be negotiated kind of stuff. I would consider that a failure. To me, a deal is a deal. A deal is not a deal. A deal is not an agreement to negotiate further.
Agreed. Totally agreed. Because that's what's happened every time to this point. Every time to this point that the military strike has been called off or the timeline's been changed, the deadline has been changed, whatever you want to call it. Every time it's been exactly that. It's just been, they made an agreement to keep talking about the agreement. We need an agreement, full stop. And we need the details on that for this to, for us to move forward, in my opinion.
Yeah,
What's your gut tell you, Doc? Is this going to be different this time, or are you bracing for same old, same old?
I don't know. You can't predict Donald Trump. He's an erratic guy. He's an impulsive guy. He is in many ways, I think he's a bit manic, in terms of the grandiosity of his vision. Now, often it takes that kind of vision. It takes a very aspirational kind of a guy to do the things that he's been able to get done. And so I wouldn't put anything past him in terms of success. However, with I would call it a communication failure, big time stuff. Look, there's things you can overpromise and underdeliver on. I'm going to close the border, and okay, there's a few people leaking across the border. By the way, I don't believe that the number is zero. 0 illegals have come across the border in the last several months. Come on, really? You don't think anyone snuck across the Rio Grande? At any rate, I mean, there's certain things that, hey, okay, we're going to get, we're going to get $200 billion in tariffs, and it comes out to be 150. I'm okay with that. That's all right. this is of such magnitude and of such global impact and importance. Whether it fails or prevails, I think that's why it's very, very important that this work out well. And so hopefully he's gotten the message. I think he's getting the message from the people. He's getting the message, I think, from his base that, hey, we're getting tired. The patience thing is over, either because we're just angry and mad and getting tired of paying high gas prices, and I am in this camp as well, I'm angry and mad at paying high gas prices, and we saw the wholesale price index go up, and the cynic in me would say, if I was a CNBC or if I was a MSNBCer, oh, this is a distraction from that wholesale price index that rose 1.1% in May. Just saying.
Yeah. Well,
what I'm really worried about and why I want this thing to be brought to some positive conclusion is the midterms keep marching closer and closer and closer, and we cannot afford to lose both chambers. We cannot do that.
I want to talk a little bit about those midterm elections and this this story that I touched on with Virginia in the last segment. There's a group, a polling group that put out a report today that said that the Democrats have picked up the momentum in various Senate races heading into these midterms. So I want to kind of touch on that, but just to wrap up this conversation about this possible agreement, and it's going to be all eyes on what happens here over the next 24 hours. I don't know if you want to call this cynical or just reality, but you mentioned the grandiose nature of the president a moment ago. I don't believe for a second, at least in my opinion, that the idea that we're heading into this weekend with these events happening at the White House, the UFC fight happening on Sunday, that the timing of this is not, that is not related. If the president can have a major announcement about a peace agreement heading into this weekend of celebrations at the UFC, it's the perfect rollout and timing for a showman like Donald Trump. And I'm not even necessarily saying that as an insult in any way. If he's able to pull off, a major agreement and ceasefire, then I'm thrilled with that. But don't think for a second, at least in my opinion, that the fact that we're heading into such a public weekend where the White House is going to be, the center of the news universe, that didn't have something to do with this timing. What do you think?
Wow. Man, I think that would turn an awful lot of people into never-Trumpers if they believe that he made so much pain and suffering and extended it with the price at the pump and all the ripple effects just to coordinate with the last 3 weeks before the grand July 4th celebration.
Well, maybe he didn't do it that way, but to put the pressure on to finalize, to get a final deal.
No, he's driven by that. I understand.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that would be sad to me, because I think this thing could have been wrapped up sooner, and there were other pressures. And if a UFC fight and a big circus is what makes him do what he needed to do three iterations ago on this, I'd be disappointed. Yeah. I don't want to believe that. I don't think that's the case. I think he actually wanted to be able to say at the end of the day that when he does finally drop the hammer, if he needs, he has dropped the hammer the last couple of days, and I'm glad to see it. I'm very thankful for that. But if he has to drop more of a hammer, he can say, look, we took the high road. We tried every possible avenue to negotiate, and they just wouldn't listen. That's going to play very well if, in fact, civilian infrastructure has to be hit. To say, look, what other choice do we have, right? There's going to be some people caught in the crossfire and infrastructure caught in the crossfire, collateral damage. But I hope that showmanship doesn't overtake the realities on the ground from American people, because that is a bigger show, if you want to look at it that way, than any UFC fight on the White House.
I agree, but I definitely think that the timing of this could just be, like the way that this would all get rolled out is just like the perfect storm for Trump, to be able to make an announcement like this and then go into the weekend, with the big middle finger to his opposition that have been against this UFC fight and all of these, happenings on the White House lawn this weekend.
Yeah.
It's just exactly the kind of path and momentum that the president would love to have.
And in the big and very important 4D chess world of this upcoming midterm election, with this whole Iran thing being interposed, you know what? If that's what it takes to really distract people from the I cannot believe the momentum that Graham Plattner has. I cannot believe that.
Oh.
But I mean, between and some of the other candidates, Tallarico down in Texas, that tells me that there's a lot of energy and a lot of excitement on the other side. And now a lot of anger, even more anger. It is like TDS plus COVID. They caught a little COVID with the Iran thing on top of their TDS, and now they just are so darn inflamed and angry. They'll crawl on their deathbed to the polls to vote against Donald Trump, no matter who's running on their side. And I'm not sure that excitement exists on the right. I'm just not sure it's there. Certainly doesn't exist in the center right. In fact, the center right is fading in their support.
Yeah, I may be more against and disgusted by Graham Plattner than I even was Zorhan Mondani or Tim Walz or AOC or some of these other people that we have seen. I've been all over that race, and we talked a lot about it with Virginia Kruta in the last segment. I just can't believe that this guy has risen and gone as far as he has. He's had the perfect storm. He's in the perfect region, where it's a very liberal Northeast. He's had his Democratic opposition crumble around him and basically pave the road. And now he's going against a senator, a Republican senator that's, has struggles with getting support from her own side, let alone having an R behind her name in that part of the country. Although, as Virginia Kruta pointed out last segment tonight, and it made me feel a little bit better, Susan Collins seems to have 9 lives and seems to always find a way. And so, for once, I'm going to be rooting for Susan Collins.
Yeah, but you know what,
Tony,
the generation of voters that's coming of age they are very transparent about their loathing and contempt for boomers and beyond.
Man,
they're very true about that. They blame that for everything from the cost of a latte at Starbucks to a subscription for Netflix, and certainly for housing and everything else on the planet.
Yeah.
And I feel that viscerally. I hear it all the time. And so I think that's gonna. I think the day of the 9 lives boomer, and increasingly feeble sounding Susan Collins. You saw the directive that came out from the RNC or the GOP, one of them yesterday. It's like, don't take Plattner lightly. Do not dismiss him. He's a serious threat.
No, you're exactly right. But he's such a piece of crap, Doc. I just can't imagine, and I hope that he doesn't end up in the United States Senate. We've gone a little long, so last question real quick here, Doc. And I'm sure I'm going to ask you this question many times as we get closer and closer to the midterms. I mentioned that there's this the Sabato's Crystal Ball at the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia is a nonpartisan political handicap group. And they just released an update on the midterm elections and their polling. And they said that 3 races have shifted from being likely Republican to either a toss-up or likely Republican to likely Democrat, which has shifted the momentum that they were predicting the Senate to fall in the midterm elections. Do you feel that as well? And just overall, how do you feel in general here as we start to get into mid-June about the momentum that the Republicans have going into the midterms?
Well, if I look at the ShamWow commercial and then I go in the store and it costs $1 more than they said it was going to do, and getting to the store cost gasoline more than it cost me 6 months ago, and then I look at the war going on here, and I'm thinking, man, everything costs more. That promise wasn't kept. I mean, I don't care what Biden said. I know that I'm hurting now, and I'm seeing my country at war, and I thought he was the anti-war president. I can understand why things are heading that way. I understand why people are making those choices.
Yeah.
So he's got to stop. He's got to get this conflict resolved and pray that gas prices go down, inflation moderates, Those are the two things that are going to drive this election. I don't think it's going to be anything else. I think because the immigration card has already been played. That one's spent because things are pretty tight at the border now, and so that's out of the deck now. We'll have to see. I'm a little concerned about it right now, but again, politics is local and regional and state, and so those races remain to be seen. Thank God they have some crazy candidates out there.
Yeah, exactly right. Thank God their party is so weak as far as the Looney Tunes of the names of people that are leading the way. But you're right, Republicans do need to do a much better job of taking advantage of their weaknesses and presenting a united front as we get close to the midterms. Dr. Randy Tobler, really appreciate your time as always, my friend. Look forward to talking to you again next week, and we'll be listening on Saturday morning. Have a great rest of your day.
All right.
Yeah. Great stuff there. Dr. Randy Tobler. Randy Tobler Show every Saturday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. here on News Talk STL. And speaking of great Saturday morning programming here on the station, every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. is the Bluff City Outdoors Show with myself and local professional fisherman Mike Marfell and the owner of Bluff City Outdoors, Mark McMurray. Those guys are here in studio, and what a perfect day for this. The president today held a press briefing at the White House in regards to an announcement about restoring commercial fishing in protected areas in the Pacific Ocean, deregulating some fishing laws and making it easier and better on the fishermen in that area that are, making a living fishing. So perfect day to talk to the guys from the Bluff City Outdoor Show. They will join us live in studio next.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Fox News commentary with Craig Gutfeld. Next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Here's Greg Gutfeld.
So it's rough news for the Dems. Turns out they have no breakthrough candidate, and voters just let them know it. A new poll of 2028 contenders is out, and Pete Buttigieg leads the field at just 18%. Gavin 16, AOC 11, Josh Shapiro 10. But this is what happens when a party loses an election and learns absolutely nothing from it. After all, that DNC autopsy of 2024 should have been an opportunity for enlightenment. They still don't get it, yet voters got it perfectly. They saw the open borders, identity politics, men and women's sports, rampant criminality, cities turned into outdoor pharmacies. But instead of repudiating any of it, Dems are just trying to rebrand it. So why is it so hard for the Dems to admit they really screwed up? Well, one, their egos won't allow them. And two, their children. They can't see the future benefit if they start over.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Looking for insurance you can truly trust? Since 1986, Bauer Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses across Missouri and Illinois. Owner Cindy Blanton doesn't just offer one quote. She shops all the top carriers like Progressive, Travelers, Safeco, and more to find you the best rates. Whether it's your home, auto, toys, or business, we've got you covered. Visit us at Mid-Rivers Mall in St. Peters or call 636-812-2001. Bauer Insurance Agency, the company that protects. The name you can trust.
JC's Wayback Machine.
We are coming up on the 35th anniversary of the grand opening of what was then called the Riverport Amphitheater. The first headliner, Steve Winwood, will reminisce. And it was a year ago this week we lost a pioneering musical genius, Brian Wilson. We'll play you some rare tracks. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL.
We've been here 30 years.
30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. This date, 1963, Governor Wallace blocking black students at the University of Alabama.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. I am Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Ashlyn, and now also joining us in studio are my co-hosts from the Bluff City Outdoor Show, which you can hear every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. here on News Talk STL. Local professional fisherman Mike Marfell is here.
Oh, Tony, good to be here.
Great to see you. And
good to be in the air conditioning.
Yeah, no kidding. Boy, it is brutal out there. And then I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. We got an update from our weather team there at Channel 4. Extreme heat this afternoon. The heat index is supposed to be 104, 105 around that area. So be careful with that. And then tonight, strong possibility of some severe weather. So be aware of that stuff as well. Also in studio is my co-host from the Bluff City Outdoors Show, the owner of Bluff City Outdoors, and Alton Mark McMurray. Great to see you.
Thought he was going to leave me out.
I thought he was too.
Oh, you
good to be here. Yeah.
You mentioned the weather.
It was like wearing a wet blanket coming in here.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, the humidity
and the wind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's that.
It's messing up our hair,
stuff
Mark.
that's coming in, right? So, I want to talk about some fishing stuff and some politics stuff, since we don't get a chance to talk politics with these guys on the weekends, very intentionally, because it's the weekend and we want to have fun talking about fishing and hunting and trapping and the great outdoors. But how about this? With everything else happening in the world right now, the president just moments ago held a press briefing at the White House and made the announcement that he is deregulating a large part of the fishing industry. President Trump took action today to restore commercial fishing within 3 of America's marine national monuments in the Pacific Ocean, rolling back protections for areas that are considered pristine ocean ecosystems. The White House said the move, which restores commercial fishing to about 500,000 square miles in the Pacific Ocean, is aimed at boosting the U.S. fishing industry and lowering seafood prices for consumers. Listen, Mark, I've always said this. I'm all about protecting the environment, but we have seen many instances, the Green New Deal, and Joe Biden saying, you know, we're going to need oil for another 10 years or so. Just like the lunacy involved in some of the proposals and some of the bills that they have gotten away with on the left, it just gone way too far. I love this. I love.
Yeah,
usually when I hear the word deregulation, usually makes me happy.
It's a good thing. Yeah, as a libertarian, you know, that's kind of music, you know, to our ears.
How did us 3 libertarians get together anyway?
You know,
like mine.
But yet, you know, you look at it. I mean, there's a difference between conservation and protectionism.
Yes.
And that's what the left's been all about: is protect at any cost.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's just they've been wrong on so much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, peak oil was supposed to be 1973. Okay, you know, we're 50 years later.
Yeah.
And there's more oil in the reserves in it's crazy.
And in many cases,
and they get away with it.
Well, there's probably somebody getting rich on the other end too. They probably invested in Chinese fishing.
Getting rich or acquiring power, or both.
Oh, both. Yeah.
Yeah, but in so many cases, under the guise of protecting the environment or protecting the earth, they do so much more damage than good. They put people out of work. They damage an entire industry's ability.
Yeah,
to,
or you can disrupt and destroy the ecosystem too. So, it's being a trapper and stuff. So the left, extreme left, the anti-animal right, the animal rights people, so they just beat the fur industry to death.
Yes,
so
sir.
you drive it down. So back when I was in college, a raccoon you could fetch $30-$40. That went a long way to paying bills. And so you had all these trappers and hunters and stuff keeping the raccoon numbers and stuff in check. So now you don't have that now. So what do you see? They decimate the ground nesting bird populations. It's just, it's just, you wouldn't have had that if you had a reasonable fur market. You'd still have all those guys doing all that work for free.
Mm-hmm.
The animal damage control business is booming because everybody's got raccoons in their chimneys. They're everywhere.
And animals are still getting killed. We're just not using their fur.
Yes, we're just not using them for anything.
Right.
Everything its ecosystem can only support so much. If we don't take care of it, Mother Nature does, and she's cruel.
Yes.
And harsh.
Yeah, much more harsh in many cases.
Yes.
And that's why, Mike, in the fishing industry and just in recreational fishing, we see this, and we talk about this all the time on the show. The best stewards, the people that are taking the most care of our parks and our water systems are the outdoorsmen, are the fishermen and the hunters. If we didn't have deer hunting here in Missouri, the deer population would be out of control. There'd be more accidents. There'd be more people getting hurt. The deer would be starving. The deer would be sick.
Everybody's insurance goes up.
And
it would explode and then it would contract. Very fast.
Versus steady Eddie.
And that's why also in fishing, that's why, when you are recreationally fishing in a lake, you'll see the signs about how many you can keep, the size that you can keep. It's not like
some of them need to find the skill.
It's painted so often as like, all these outdoorsmen, they just want to go and kill all these animals and whatever. No, there's these regulations and these limits are specifically put into place to protect the animals and their growth and their evolution, as well as providing for the hunters and fishermen that are, that are engaging.
I get that a lot. Like, you tournament fish, that's got to be bad on the bass population because you're catching them and releasing them and they're all stressed out. I was like, well, technically, we're only keeping 5. We could keep 6, and we could take them all home and eat them.
Right, exactly.
So I don't,
Yep.
And I get penalized if one's dead.
And
so I really, they come out of my live well in better shape than they went in it.
And the
generally.
more people that participate in tournament fishing and competitions, that's the more people that are getting involved in the outdoor community, and the more people that get involved and educated. Fishermen don't want the waters to be polluted.
No. You know how much trash I pick up at Lake of the Ozarks?
Hunters don't want the woods to be destroyed.
No,
it's to our benefit to keep the animals healthy and growing and clean.
And try to, I got a small tract up by Bunker Hill, 25 acres, mostly timber. And I'm not a deer hunter, but most of the trees that I plant there are adding food to the ecosystem. Just putting more there.
That is Mark McMurray from Bluff City Outdoors, which is open 7 days a week in Alden, about a mile east of Fast Eddie's there on East Broadway. All your fishing needs, all your trapping needs, all your bow hunting needs, and more every day there at Bluff City Outdoors. And, of course, Bluff City Outdoors every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. I want to talk a little bit about this week's show. And before we run out of time with these guys, we got Mike Marfell, local professional fisherman, of course, in studio as well. See, that time I almost forgot you. I almost forgot him earlier, and I almost forgot you this time. That was even the score. Before you guys go, I mentioned this earlier, but there's a story in the news today that is a perfect national news example
I'm excited.
of TDS. So I want to talk about that before we run out of time with my co-hosts from the Bluff City Outdoor Show next.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk. If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Speaking of getting outside and enjoying being outside, our friends at All Solutions Pest Control are a big reason why we are able to do that at the Colombo household. This time of year when it's not 105 degrees, it's a great time to get outside. The kids are playing outside. It's summer vacation. It's a perfect time to grill and enjoy your back patio or deck or things like that. And the only thing that can really ruin that outside of the weather this time of year is the bugs, is the pests. And that is exactly why we have All Solutions Pest Control at our home. We keep All Solutions Pest Control service year-round at our house because every season comes with its own pest issues. But none are bigger than this time of year when it comes to especially things like ants or termites, or mosquitoes. That's a big one at our house. We love the mosquito treatment that is provided by All Solutions Pest Control. So if you have a pest issue at your home, or better yet, if you just want to prevent one from developing, you need to call the team at All Solutions Pest Control now. Take advantage of their $67 introductory special and learn more about all the things they can do for you and your home now just by going to the website allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson. Mario's Donut Restaurant, that's your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches, omelets, delicious gyros, and Mexican dishes, to their revamped menu with cannolis, tiramisu, baklava, and danishes. And don't forget those famous donuts. Dine in or carry out, Mario's friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit, or just visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Dr. Michael Lewis, West Point grad, physician, and retired Army colonel, is considered the world's leading expert on the use of omega-3s in brain health. He's also the author of When Brains Collide. Dr. Lewis, a lot of people take fish oil supplements, but how do you know they're working if you're not testing?
Elizabeth, I've come across the biggest breakthrough in my 30-plus years of medicine. What if you could test yourself at home to see if your fish oil supplements are actually working? And then have the right product, a combination of fish oil and olive oil, a perfect Mediterranean diet in a bottle delivered right to your doorstep. This is the answer to the American ultra-processed food diet. Email me at test@brainhealtheducation.org. That's test@brainhealtheducation.org.
Email Dr. Lewis today at test@brainhealtheducation.org and take the first step toward a healthier brain. Your future self will thank you. That's test@brainhealtheducation.org.
Let her go, boys.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Got my co-hosts from the Bluff City Outdoors show in the studio with us right now. Mark McMurray from Bluff City Outdoors and local professional fisherman Mike Marfell. Before we talk about this week's show and the preview and talk a little bit about fishing as we do every week in there, I wanted to just share this because this has been something we've been talking about a couple times on the show this week. I was mentioning on Tuesday when I had Susie Moore on, we were talking about a couple of legal cases that the president is involved in right now. One is regarding a lawsuit against his ballroom. Mark,
ridiculous.
They just can't stand that he's building a ballroom.
Yeah, with his money.
With his money. They just hate it. They're acting like it's some kind of, national disgrace. Or
and I mean,
it's a ballroom.
And when you think with the incident that happened, at the correspondence dinner,
Yeah.
that you'd want to have it there.
Exactly.
I was shocked to find out we didn't have a ballroom.
Right, I know, right? Me too. So you have that. You also have the president currently in a lawsuit against CNN for the way that they reported during the last presidential election and the false news that they reported on and things like that. And Susie and I were just talking about the general level of TDS and how it just doesn't stop anywhere. I mean, when we're talking about a ballroom, for God's sakes. Well, this was a perfect example of that, and I just wanted to touch on it. The Washington Post this week is facing some backlash from those on the right, but I'm sure getting plenty of support from those on the left after a report, a whole story about the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool, which is one of the projects that the president has done and renovated.
Hasn't been clean since Forrest Gump.
They say exactly. However, according to the Washington Post, quote, after Trump's $10 million renovation, the reflecting pool is full again and looks almost the same. And they put up a comparison picture of the reflecting pool today as what it looked like in 2022. They go on to, in this report, say that it took too long, it cost too much, it was a waste of money. First of all, a $10 million renovation project
from the government
is literally nothing.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah, and look, I wouldn't endorse wasting $10 million on anything, but with all the things that we do waste $10 million on,
exactly.
Give me a break, Washington Post. And then also they have this, they're using this one picture that somebody took in 2022 and compared it to this, and it still looks a lot dirtier than it does today, but it looks.
So it's the same people that took the picture of Joe Rogan when he had COVID? Is it that kind of picture?
All of these. So in response on social media, all of these people that have visited D.C. in recent years and are posting pictures of what it looked like when they were there, when literally the water was green. Yeah. Green in some instances. Just to show you, this is the Washington Post, Mark. They can report on anything they want to. They go out of their way to basically just make up a story about the reflecting pool to try to find any reason to go after the president. If that's not a clinical case of TDS, I don't know what is.
Without a doubt, I mean, at some point, it just, they're going to have to come up with a cure for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the guy could
go outside
cancer,
and touch grass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't worship at the altar of Trump by any measure, but I'll give him credit when he does things right.
Yes.
Very critical of the Iran thing from the beginning.
Me too.
Uncomfortably so. Some of my conservative friends were like, you don't have Israel's back and his back. I was like, I don't know, man. Let's let it play out.
Yeah. I have his back, but that doesn't mean I agree with everything he says and does.
I love my wife, but I don't agree with everything she does.
But this is just like...
Yeah, but I'm like Mike. I mean, he could literally cure cancer.
Oh, yeah.
And they would write articles about all the cancer doctors that he put out of work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're exactly right. You're exactly right. It's out of control.
And it wasn't just that it was dirty. I read that it was actually leaking, too. So you have to... That's going to cost money to drain that dude and clean it out.
Patch it,
and do whatever you got to do.
And what an embarrassment for this country.
Yeah.
I mean, all the tourists, which, by the way, we just talked to somebody who was in D.C. Earlier this week. It was Justin Sparks, who's been there many, many times, was back for the first time since the second Trump administration this past week. And he talked about how just in general, the National Mall and the monument.
I've heard that from multiple
is
people.
Clean
Yeah.
and safe and has the reverence again that you feel the history involved. Where he said in years past, especially during the Biden administration and Obama administration, that it was sketchy. It didn't feel he didn't feel necessarily safe.
I mean,
so what on top of all this, what an embarrassment the reflecting pool was beforehand. So good for Trump.
Yeah, you
for
can't have
cleaning
it. You can't have it looking like that for the UFC fight next weekend.
It's a good point,
Only a couple minutes left here, guys. I want to preview this week's show a little bit. Of course, every week on the Bluff City Outdoor Show, we talk fishing, we talk bow hunting, we talk trapping, we get you the weekly fishing report. Mike, obviously, it's just obscenely hot right now.
Yes.
How outside of that, how's the fishing been this
Fishing
past?
is awesome.
Are we still on fire?
Yes. Yes.
And
Jeff asked me, does this fit? When I came in, Jeff Allen said, does this affect the fishing? I was like, the fish are in the water. I mean, they're good. It affects the fishermen.
Right.
Like if it's like I'm fishing that river series next week, the following weekend, and if it's like this, I'm regretting fishing summertime tournaments. But
I don't know what it's going to be like next weekend, but and we'll get more details tomorrow when we talk to Steve Templeton on the show. But after the threat of severe weather tonight, like I mentioned
to get
earlier,
back to 80.
Yeah,
right?
Keep your eyes on the sky tonight. I mean, it's hot right now. And
I'll
then
be at the
could be
Chesterfield
some weather
Amphitheater. I
coming
won't
in.
have a choice but to keep my eye on the sky.
Yeah, but it's tomorrow's supposed to be much cooler. I think the highs.
Highs at 80, like.
Yep.
Yeah, and hopefully that lasts through the weekend. And
That would be
in
nice.
the coming days.
But the fishing's on fire, and
Yeah.
I'm sure the catfishing because the
Well,
river's flowing.
So the catfishing, this is their peak spawn.
Really?
We're in
Okay.
it right now for the blue cats, and and even the channel. But the channels keep biting them. They don't care. But the blue cats get real tough to catch during that peak spawn, and we're in that for about another 10 days.
Gotcha.
So it's much tougher to catch them right now.
So you can't. I don't know much about catfishing. You can't bed fish a catfish like you do a bass. We can't see it in the Mississippi.
You can't see it. You'd have to find it, but they just almost like they quit eating,
Yeah.
or eat a lot less. Now, once they come off the spawn, then it's
game on.
That's what I was going to say. So right after this, is that when it
and that
turns back
usually,
up?
it's usually that stretch from more or less Memorial Day to Father's Day. That's usually during the when it's the hardest.
Yeah.
And then then once they're off that spawn, then it's
Yeah.
they're going gangbusters. Yeah.
Well, it's a great time to get out and take advantage of all the products and services at Bluff City Outdoors. What's the latest at the shop? I know we've been talking a lot about this urchin bait.
The urchin bait.
Yeah, we got some urchin baits in.
How many you moved? Most of them.
We sold all the ones we got last Thursday. We sold.
Nice.
So we got. We got
told him
black.
to bring something.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
got
no
black
kidding.
blue in yesterday, and we got green pumpkin in today. We
And
didn't have
honest-
those the first go round.
Okay, well that's really
Those are your two
That's
best
all
colors.
you need.
If you-
And maybe
if-
a white one somewhere along the line, but yeah.
If you're unfamiliar with what we're talking about in any way, going to be fishing, especially bass fishing, really any type of fishing here this summer, tune in to the Bluff City Outdoors Show and learn about, because this just, I discovered this like 2 weeks ago. Like, this is brand new stuff.
It's been out there under the hat for a while.
Yeah,
but
but
it came out from under the hat about a month ago. Probably.
It is taking over.
It kind of took off in the spring, Bassmaster, but then again, there just weren't any baits out
Yeah.
there. You had all this buzz
Yeah.
about wanting them. I don't know how many calls we got for them. You got
This
those
new
urchins?
lure,
No.
Yeah, this new lure, which is called the urchin bait, has just taken over the fishing scene, and it's great stuff. One of the many things that we discuss each and every week on the Bluff City Outdoors Show. Tune in this and every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. here on News Talk STL for the Bluff City Outdoors Show. And, of course, check out Bluff City Outdoors, open 7 days a week, about a mile east of Fast Eddie's there on East Broadway in Alton. Mark and his team at Bluff City Outdoors have all your fishing needs, all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your Garmin electronic needs covered. You can shoot every day in the archery range there at Bluff City Outdoors. And follow them on Facebook and at BluffCityOutdoors.com. All right, Colombo Company back tomorrow at 2. Tim and Chris next.
This spring into savings with Johnson Heating and Cooling. Rebates up to $600 off a complete HVAC system. And here's the deal. Purchase a complete system and get a free humidifier. Plus, financing available up to 0% for 60 months. Don't miss out. These offers expire June 30th. Visit Johnson-Heating and